what the big deal about Cracker Jack is. Did you ever go and buy a pack of Cracker Jack thinking you're going to get a prize and find no prize in the box?
You got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me.
Freehand is beating his net at the plate. Crawford is over there watching. Good see, sir. You're in the wrong seat, buddy. Come on. Oh, I must be in the front row.
We can finally cross the Alex Bregman conversation topic off the list in both Detroit and Chicago, as he is officially landed on the north side 1 year too late.
He was seen having lunch with Craig Counsell.
Again, yeah. Even a year ago, I was hoping, if anything, he would come to the Cubs and not to the Tigers because of the mostly outrageous contract speculation that he was going to get, and he did get an outrageous contract once again, 2 years in a row. In fact, the Cubs signed him for 5 years, $175 million, $35 million per year. No trade clause, which Jed loves handing out, which is pretty much handcuffing him in other ways this year in particular. This would have made 100% sense to me 1 year ago today, and it makes much less sense than it does to me today. You solve the third base issue that plagued the Cubs all last year, and you had Kyle Tucker to pair with him. That was the year to go for it, and somehow the Cubs came in fourth in the bidding last year with a meager $120 million 4-year offer. Somehow they found another year and another $55 million to give him in the offseason this past season. So it's confounding what is happening here. It's clearly an overpay, which is fine. The Cubs can handle it. Somehow they couldn't handle it last year. He is now going to be 32 by the time the season starts. They have him through his age 37 year now.
Ooh.
His skill set, it's kind of TBD. Like, it was hard to, he performed quite well in Boston, which was very predictable last season, using the green monster to full advantage, but he was hurt a lot too. So his numbers were depleted. So, but a 31, going to be 32-year-old, you can kind of think might be injury prone at this point. So I think it's a massive overpay. That's fine for an organization like the Cubs to absorb if it is. I got to applaud Bregman and Scott Boras because they played this so well. They played the whole MLB just perfectly well, which that's going to be a theme of Scott Boras later on in this show. But the best offer Bregman had last season was the Tigers offer, 6 years, $171.5 million. Well, instead of taking that, he took an offer from the Red Sox and the Cubs now for 6 years and $215 million. So he got himself $44 million extra dollars.
Thank God, too. He was probably going to barely be eating at the Tigers offer.
So yeah, congratulations to Bregman and Boras. You played the MLB quite well. So I don't know. I think it solves problems for the Cubs. The third base issue. It's one thing about Bregman that was appealing, if I was looking at with both my Tigers hat or my Cubs hat on, is the leadership and the stuff, the quality human being that he is not in question. He's a leader in the clubhouse, which I think the Tigers could have used last year actually a little bit, but the Cubs seem to have lots of leaders. Which Bregman will be another one, which is never a bad thing. So I like that. He's an all-star Gold Glove quality third baseman, which will help an incredible infield of defense that the team already has. So those are positives. It's just frustrating that this didn't happen last year. I could make all these same exact arguments and have a year younger guy to talk about in a year that the Cubs clearly were competing and they chose not to go all in. And now they're kind of going all in and fans are all fired up. I'm a little confused by that. I mean, other than getting a shiny new toy just after Christmas, add that to Edward Cabrera, the trade, which I don't think anyone really knows I mean, there's certainly potential there, but he's never really put it together. His best year was last year with a 3.5 ERA. A lot of injuries in his past. He's got crazy stuff, but the weirdest thing is his best pitch his signature pitch is a power changeup that goes like 90, 94, which, I mean, if he's throwing fastballs at 104, then that I can see that being effective. It is effective. I'm confused by the power changeup. It's probably just mislabeled. It's probably more like a split finger or something, but that's his claim to fame. So I'm curious what Tommy Hotovy and the Cubs pitching lab can do with him. But I think the people being so fired up for giving up yet another number one prospect in the offseason is a little confounding. This is 2 years in a row now. The Cubs have given away their number one prospect. Last year, Cam Smith for Kyle Tucker, Cam Smith amongst others, Isaac Paredes, and damn it, I can't remember the pitcher's name. Anyway, and this year, Owen Casey. So now we can kind of close the books on the Yu Darvish trade from 2020, if you remember, if you get in the Wayback Machine. Cubs traded a clear salary dump on a bunch of lotto tickets. One paid off. Owen Casey was one of 4 prospects the Cubs got back. And now they have parlayed that into Edward Cabrera.
Your dreams are coming true.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how that pans out. But it just seems like over and over again, I've made the analogy before, but Cubs are not following the advice of one Mike Ehrmantraut from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. No half measures. And if they had gone all in last year and made this deal for Bregman, you got to wonder what it would be. What do you think happened with the Cubs front office between last year at this time and this year at this time? They've scrounged up even more money. They gave another year to the deal, but they could not possibly do this last year. And I guess you could point to they had increased revenues from the 5 extra playoff games they had this past season. If that's the margins we're talking about with the Cubs budget, I fear. Well, I don't fear. I know we're being lied to about what those monetary restraints are. So I don't know. There's no reason to be pissed about the Bregman deal. It's great. Again, I'm like, and as you pointed out, it's good to cross it off the list of conversation. At least it's over now. I think the Cubs are a little bit better than they were a week ago, but again, the net. I saw somebody bring up added up the WAR plus minus. You lose Kyle Tucker, you bring in Bregman. Well, it's kind of a wash. Are the Cubs demonstrably better going into 2026 than they were in 2025? And I don't see that yet. So that doesn't mean they can't be. There's rumors that they might still be in the running for Zach Gallen to add even more rotation depth, which would be awesome. You can never have too many starting pitchers, but they'd be up to like 7 or 8 starters that they'd have, which begs the question if somebody needs to be traded. I don't really want to get into it today because it's not happening officially by any means, but there's been a lot of rumors that Nico Horner might be traded, which I think would be a fucking disaster and totally negate any positivity that Cubs fan base would feel from getting Alex Bregman. So I'm not going to cross that bridge until we get to it. I think it makes no sense for Cubs in this position to give up basically their best player at this point. So yeah, headline: do not trade Nico Horner. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts about that? Any of that?
Well, I agree with what you said. It feels a lot like last year. Well, we'll get rid of Cody Bellinger and now we bring in Tucker. Instead of adding, all you did was you flatlined.
Yeah.
You could have you have more than enough money despite your whatever bullshit you're peddling, like all major league owners do. Well, not all. There's a handful just spend like drunken sailors, but
faceless German corporations.
But any owner in Chicago will cry poor to you, and instead of saying, "All right, we're going to bring Tucker back, and now we're going to go get Bregman," now I'm excited as a Cubs fan at that prospect that you've truly added. You You didn't bring a what if up from the farm system, and not everyone's going to turn into PCA. So like I don't know. I'm with you. I just seems kind of like Like you're right. Last year, if you're going to bring in Tucker, you did all these moves. Like why not just pony up the money last year for Bregman? There's no way 5 playoff games allowed the pocketbooks to suddenly and after
55
seeing
million more dollars,
yeah, and
55 games. It's possible. 11 million per game.
after seeing what happened last year with him, he only played in 114 games. What are
Is that
you?
what it was?
What are you getting?
Well, that's what you worry about, and hang another year on him.
Yeah, you're getting 58 games. You're using a backup.
Oh,
Jesus.
still have Matt Shaw.
Or 48 games. Doing Southside math over here.
That's
48 games, you're getting a backup.
You haven't had Benetti in a while to teach you your math skills.
Yeah, I know. Like, his last year with Houston, he played 145, 161 before that, 155. The contract that Boston gave him makes a little sense because he's playing a regular slate of basically as a starter with minor injury that may have kept him out or just rest. I mean, it's not to say that the Cubs can't manage it. You play him at third, maybe you play him at DH. You give him some days off here and there and get like maybe 140 plus games out of him. Then and he performs at a similar rate. I mean, even with the Green Monster though, I mean he had a lot of extra base hits, but he had 18 homers, like 105th in the majors last year. I don't know. It's questionable.
And you wonder how that same approach is going to play at Wrigley with the new pitcher-friendly Wrigley Field with the wind blowing in 80% of the time.
Yeah, I know. It's like the exact opposite of what it used to be. So
yeah, it's hard.
I don't know. It's
hard to know.
But I just look at it this way. If I say the Cubs are going to win the division, they don't win the division. If I say the Cubs are going to have a failure in the season, then they surprise me. So
yeah.
I'm just going to say they're winning the whole thing just so it's fun with the season.
I don't think there's any reason to think they've taken a step back by any means. So
no, but running in place isn't what you want as a fan either,
No, right. And I don't think the fans are perceiving it that way. If you paid any attention to CubsCon, the glee and delight, no consternation in Cubs Nation at that point.
That's what happens with every year.
No, there's been a lot of animosity at CubsCon the last few years. We saw Tom Ricketts get booed at one point.
Well, that was a few years ago, but not last year when they.
Yeah, because they had Kyle Tucker, and that was a big. I feel like the Cubs are kind of dangling their keys in front of the Cubs fans, just shiny new things, just to keep their attention and keep them happy for a bit. And I'm not sure that this is. I always go back to the analogy: don't confuse activity with accomplishment. And I feel like this is losing Tucker and then adding Bregman is kind of a net maybe. I think it's a net loss if you think about it, because Kyle Tucker's a better player than Bregman. But maybe Edward Cabrera will change my tune on everything. He's the starter they needed.
Yeah, who knows? You don't know about any of this stuff, but on paper it seems like okay. We subtracted and then just added with someone who probably isn't just not quite as good. Okay, great. And spent way more money. Committed money.
Yeah. Post-game show is brought to you by Christ, I can't find it. The hell with it.
One guy poured beer all over my head. The guy said, how can you take that? I said, look, that man didn't do nothing. He poured some beer on my head. He's just showing he's a White Sox fan. There ain't nothing wrong with that.
Sparky, a million thanks for, as always, the most interesting interview. And now today, let's just have a lot of thrilling baseball and not so many fisticuffs.